Hello everyone, how are you? We are going to see where to stay in Natal. What are the best neighborhoods and beaches to stay? And tips on hotels and inns that are in the best locations in Natal. The main neighborhoods and beaches to stay in Natal are Ponta Negra, the Via Costera, the central beaches, which are the beaches of Areia Preta, Dos Artistas, and Domeio, which are closer to the city center, and the area around the Arena das Dunas. These 13 numbers on the map represent the hotels and inns that we will see throughout the video, and there are options for all types of travelers and budgets, from very economical inns and hotels to hotels with leisure infrastructure, luxury hotels, and even resorts, including all-inclusive resort options. The links to these hotels and inns to check prices and see more information are in the video description and also in the first comment. So let's start with Ponta Negra, which is the tourist center of Natal. So Ponta Negra is this neighborhood here, and it's the most famous beach in Natal, roughly, this area here. Here is the Morro do Careca, which is the main postcard of Natal. So Ponta Negra is the main neighborhood, the tourist center. Oh, it's the neighborhood with the largest offer of hotels, inns, nightlife, and craft fairs. So it's the most touristy area of Natal. But Ponta Negra has a very important characteristic, which is that it's a neighborhood located on a hill, right? So it has a lot of hills. It's quite yes, it's quite steep with many staircases. So it's a very important point to consider when choosing to stay in Ponta Negra, because getting around the neighborhood on foot is more tiring due to the many hills, right? And Ponta Negra also has various different environments here, depending on the part of the neighborhood, okay? And I will explain all of this here as I show the hotels we marked here in Ponta Negra. I will be showing which parts of the neighborhood have the best nightlife, the best commercial infrastructure, and the older and newer parts of the neighborhood. So let's start here with Accommodation 1, which is located here, more towards the right end of Ponta Negra Beach, and in this region here, approximately this stretch, which is almost a kilometer, about a kilometer, is the part of Ponta Negra where there is a beachfront road, okay? So there's a little beachfront road here. It's the oldest part of the neighborhood, okay? The first one that was, settled here in Ponta Negra. So here you have some of the older hotels and inns, although there are good options here, for hotels and inns, okay, but generally they are a bit older. It's also the part of the neighborhood with many somewhat labyrinthine streets, okay? And here it goes more or less from Morro do Careca to the section where the boardwalk begins, which is up ahead, okay? Here the street, it has several bars, restaurants, shops, some, small stores and craft galleries. But it's a part of the neighborhood that's a bit more run down, okay? With a busier atmosphere during the day and somewhat empty at night, okay? There are even some shops, bars, and restaurants that open at night, but it's not the part with the best nightlife in Ponta Negra. The beach here is one of the busiest sections, during the day, right? For actually going to the beach. There are many stalls there to serve beachgoers with chairs, umbrellas, drinks, and snacks, but also in other sections of Ponta Negra. And here's the part where the sea is calmer, in Ponta Negra. Although now there has been, the widening of the sand strip. I am recording this video in April 2025. The widening was completed. In January 2025, the sand strip of Ponta Negra Beach was greatly expanded, by about 100 meters. And this changed the characteristics of the beach a bit. So it seems that swimming in the sea isn't as nice. The waves are stronger, but it's still a dynamic that hasn't been... the dynamics, of this new Ponta Negra Beach haven't settled yet, right? So we have to wait a few more months, a period for everything to settle. Let's take a look here at Hotel 1, which is the Aquaria Natal Hotel. It's a 4-star hotel, rated 9, a very good rating on Booking, and it's one of the best hotels in this area, right, of Ponta Negra Beach with Beira-Mar Street. Look, it has a very beautiful area. It's located on Beira-Mar Street, so right in front, of the sea, just cross the little street and you're already on the beach. And this spot here in Ponta Negra is really nice, because the elevation difference from the street to the beach is very short, unlike other parts of Ponta Negra where the difference is greater. So you can access the beach more easily. The pool area here is really cool. The pools are heated. Right here in the background, you can already see the Morro do Careca. the beach is right in front, but here, this photo is old, so now the beach has a wider strip of sand, okay? After the sand replenishment. Here, look, there's also the pool bar. So the Aquaria Natal Hotel has good infrastructure, okay? So here is the hotel, and here is already the seafront. Look, here is also a photo from before the sand replenishment, right? So here's the section of Beira Street, and here's the Aquaria. And the hotel has a restaurant, a kids area, a game room, and is therefore one of the key main options in this area for staying in Natal. The links for you to check prices and see more information are in the QR code, in the video description, and also in the first comment, okay? So let's move on to the next hotel on our list. So let's come here to Hotel 2, which is still in this section here, right? Of Beira Street at Ponta Negra Beach. And it's the Sol Nascente Hotel Posada Beira Mar, a small 2-star hotel rated 8.6 on Booking. And it's an economical option here, like a small hotel, a little inn, okay? It's also located on Beira Street, okay? So here is Beira Street, and here is already Ponta Negra Beach. So it's an excellent location at this point, okay? And it's a hotel. And a little inn that doesn't have much leisure infrastructure, it doesn't, okay? It's more of a room for you to sleep in this excellent position here. Look, Beira Street, the sign here, to take photos of Natal. So an excellent location for those who are looking for a more economical option. So let's go here to Hotel 3, still in this section here of Beira Street. But Hotel 3 is located on the street behind the beach, okay? So the distance to the beach is around 150 meters. And there are slopes here, okay? To get from this street and go down to the beach, it will be a very steep slope, okay? And similarly, to go up to other sections of Ponta Negra as well. So Natal, Tunas Hotel. It's a 3-star hotel, rated 8.9 on Booking. And here it's a somewhat intermediate option. So it's a hotel that has some leisure infrastructure, okay? It has a restaurant, but with more affordable prices, especially because the hotel is not beachfront, it's on the street behind. So the prices are a bit less inflated. It has pools, including the option of a heated pool and also a hot tub. So a hotel well rated by guests. There is an area there for children's play. It has a baby pantry. It has a restaurant. It has a bar. Okay? There is a very pleasant area here with a garden as well. So a very interesting option here in a good location for you to explore the neighborhood here of Ponta Negra. And here in this area of Beira Street in Ponta Negra, there are many more options for hotels and inns for accommodation. If you want to see more options, take a look at the article on the blog. Look, on the Tips Where to Stay blog, the article Where to Stay in Natal. There we have prepared a very complete guide, okay? So, okay, the information is divided by neighborhood here in Natal. Look, there's Ponta Negra. It includes all the sections here of Ponta Negra and the other neighborhoods as well. Look, Via Costera and the other neighborhoods of Natal. So if you come here, look, Ponta Negra, we explain everything clearly about the neighborhood. There are maps explaining the parts, okay, of Ponta Negra. So look, the section we were talking about, right, Beira Street. And here then, there's a more complete guide, right, of hotels and inns in each part of Ponta Negra and also in Natal. And the cool thing is that the hotels and inns are divided by guest review ratings. There are also the main amenities. For example, pool, restaurant, playroom, game room, gym, and so on. It includes the main amenities of each accommodation and the distance to the beach as well. So, if you want to see more, right, a more complete guide of hotels and inns in each of the main areas to stay in Natal, check out the article on the blog, and you can access it via the QR code and also through the link in the video description and the first comment. And continuing here, then in Ponta Negra, we are going to another spot here on Ponta Negra Beach. So the previous point was the Beira Street, which was this section here. And from about here, look, from this point, it's the section of Ponta Negra that has a Beira boardwalk, okay? So it's not a street. For vehicle traffic, it's a narrower boardwalk. It's a really beautiful area, right? A pleasant boardwalk for walks, okay? The good thing here is that you'll be a bit closer to the more modern avenue here in Ponta Negra, which I'll talk about later, which is the main nightlife area here in Ponta Negra. So here you'll have easier access. Here, it's a neighborhood with newer urbanization, so the streets are more planned, okay? There are many hills here too, so The beachfront hotels have easier access to the beach, but the hotels on the streets, behind the beach, have quite a few hills for you to reach them. And from the boardwalk to the beach, you also have to go down a staircase at this point, okay? Here the sea tends to have stronger waves, although here, after the beach nourishment, right, of Ponta Negra Beach, it seems that the whole beach has stronger waves, okay? But there are many stalls here as well to serve the bathers, you know? Chairs, umbrellas, drinks, and snacks. So let's start here with Lodging 4, which is right here at the beginning of the boardwalk, see? Lodging 4, right? Hotel 4 is located here. So here is the end of Beira-Mar Street. And here is the beginning of the Ponta Negra boardwalk. It's a very good area to stay, where you can easily get around right to various points here in Ponta Negra, okay? Yeah. The beginning of the boardwalk is nice because there are some food options, kiosks, and even a few small shops, okay? So it's a very good area here to stay at Lodging 4. So let's take a look at it. It's the H Ponta Negra Beach. It's a 3-star hotel, okay? Rating 8.3, a reasonable score on booking. So it has this excellent location right at the beginning of the boardwalk facing the sea. It has an adult pool, a children's pool, and look, it has a game room, okay? Let's see if we can get a picture here of the boardwalk to arrive. So look, there's a view here of Morro do Careca. So here, look, are the pools. And here at this point, the Beira-Mar Street ends and the Ponta Negra boardwalk begins. Okay? So it's an excellent location, one of the best to stay at here in Ponta Negra. It has a restaurant, a bar, so it's an option for a hotel in an exceptional spot to stay in Ponta Negra. And continuing here along this section of the boardwalk, moving further ahead, okay? Hospedaje 5 is one of the best hotels here in this section, in Ponta Negra, on the boardwalk. It's the Coral Plaza Park Hotel. It's a 4-star hotel rated 9.2 on booking, and it's one of the highest rated hotels in Ponta Negra, okay? So look how nice. Here is the pool complex. They are heated, with options for children and adults. And I believe this here is a hot tub. And this here is the boardwalk, you see, of Ponta Negra. So the hotel has direct access to the boardwalk, and the beach is further down. Here you have to go down a staircase to get to the beach, okay? So it's a well-rated hotel. It has a bar, restaurant, game room, and also a kids area, all right? Look, here it's already further away, right, from Morro do Careca. It has a recreation team during peak times. Look, here is the boardwalk, right, the hotel, and here is the beach. There are options for beach tents in this section, okay? And look, above the hotel is the more modern section, right, of Ponta Negra, where the best nightlife is, okay? It's about 300 meters uphill, but it's a slope to climb. And here is also a kids area. So for you to check prices, see more photos, and read guest reviews, the links are in the video description, the first comment, and the QR code. And continuing here still on the boardwalk section, actually already finishing the boardwalk, right? The accommodation 6, which is right here. It is located in this section, see? The Ponta Negra boardwalk ends here. And around here, the Via Costera begins, okay? So it's right on the border here between Ponta Negra and the Via Costera. And it's right by the sea, okay? Because here there's neither a street nor a boardwalk, but there's a small hill here, a slope, to go down to reach the beach. Here is the section, look, of the most modern avenue here in Ponta Negra. And there are several dining options here with famous restaurants that I'll talk about later in the video. And accommodation 6 is the most luxurious hotel in Ponta Negra, okay? It's the Vogel Luxury Beach Hotel and Spa. 5 stars, rated 9 on booking, okay? A very good rating. So, a luxury hotel, right? It has several pools, at least 2 of which are heated. It is located here, by the seaside. It has 2 restaurants, one of which offers French-inspired cuisine. The rooms are luxurious, and the amenities are also luxurious, okay? There are room options with whirlpool bathtubs. So it's for those who want a more luxurious, cozy environment. It's more geared towards couples, okay? So it receives fewer children, mainly because it doesn't have much leisure infrastructure for kids. It has bars, restaurants, a spa, gym, and sauna. So a more luxurious hotel here in Ponta Negra. So we finished the stretch of the boardwalk here in Ponta Negra. So on the blog, in the article on the blog, there's a larger list of hotels and inns in this area. There are many options. take a look at the blog. Sometimes you find one that suits your profile better. And now we're going to move to the more modern area here in Ponta Negra. It's along here on Avenida Ingeniero Roberto Freire, okay? So, more or less, this area here, look. It's a more modern area with tall buildings, right? It's the area with the best nightlife. In Ponta Negra, there are several restaurants, food parks, with food truck spaces. And it's also the area with the main craft fairs here in Ponta Negra. So here is the area with the best nightlife, and it has the most modern hotels, usually executive-style hotels, which have little leisure infrastructure. So these are hotels for those who are looking to spend less time in the hotel and spend the days going on tours, right? Exploring the beaches. And because of this, since there are executive-style hotels, sometimes you can find hotels with better value for money, okay? But here, a downside is that to get down to the beach, it's about 300 meters of steep slope, okay? So let's zoom in here and I'll show you. Some things that are located at this point, look. There are some of the most famous restaurants, most here in Ponta Negra, including a branch of Mangay, which is a typical restaurant, and a Camarões is located here. And there's another branch of Camarões here, which are very famous restaurants here. Here are also, two of the main craft fairs. I think the two main craft fairs of Ponta Negra. Look, here is the Ponta Negra Craft Fair, and the craft shopping is located here. And another cool thing that is here, look, are two food parks. Let me zoom in here. See if they show up around here. So here in this area, look, is the Jardim que Ponta Negra Food Park, roughly in this area here. And here is the Mar Decor Food Park. So these are spaces with food trucks offering a variety of food. And the cool thing is that they have live music at night, right? On most nights. And there's also a kids area for children to play. So this region here, right, is the most modern part with the best nightlife here in Ponta Negra. So let's take a look at Hotel 7, which is right in the heart of this area, and is also one of the most luxurious hotels in Ponta Negra, which is the majestic Ponta Negra Beach. 5 stars, rated 9 on Booking, and a really nice hotel, with a decor inspired somewhat by French style, somewhat by Louis XV, right? So, look, it also has a French restaurant, which is La Brasserie, run by chef Eric Jacquin. It has a baby cupboard, okay? This hotel doesn't have much leisure infrastructure. The pool is small, it has a gym, a sauna, but it's for those looking for a more cozy, luxurious environment, right? And in this part here then, of Ponta Negra. Still nearby, look, accommodation 8 in this region of the modern avenue is a more economical and modern option, more practical. It's the IZ Suites Natal Hotel. Rated 8.6 on Booking, it's a 3-star hotel. So it's a more modern hotel, right? Everything is automated, check-in and check-out are virtual, okay? So it's a more economical option. It doesn't offer breakfast, but there are several bakery and cafe options nearby, right? So it's a more practical, more economical proposal for those just looking for a room to stay. It has a parking lot, which is on a rotating basis, okay? And so it's a more economical option here in this region, yes, of Ponta Negra. So on the blog, there are more options here. Yes, for accommodations in this area. There are many options for executive-style hotels and very economical accommodations. So take a look at the blog. Our list there is really nice. And to finish, we're going to come to the region here, which is the Salsa Street, which is roughly this area here in Ponta Negra. It's a more residential area, quieter during the day, okay? With plenty of houses. But at night, there are several options here. Yes, for bars, restaurants, and small parties. In the past, a few decades ago, this area was very popular for nightlife, but now it's a bit quieter, and it's an area that concentrates small inns and hostels. So it's the cheapest area to stay here in Ponta Negra. So to get to the beach from here, right, it's a longer distance, around 500 meters, depending on the inn you choose. You can also walk to the region of Avenida Moderna, right, where the main nightlife area is. Although, as I mentioned, there are many nightlife options here, in this area as well. Let me zoom in here. So the Salsa Street, right, is the name, it's the nickname for this street here, Aristides Porpino Filho. And here you have several options, like the Espazio Avalon Tavern and Pub, which is a medieval-themed restaurant, really cool. Here you have Rastapé, a foro house. If I'm not mistaken, it's the most famous foro house in Ponta Negra. Here is Curva do Vento, which is also a very famous pizzeria. So there are some nightlife options here in this area. And accommodation number 9 is an economical little inn, Pousada Lampião, in Maria Bonita. Rating 8.1, so a more reasonable rating. Here is the on booking. And it's indeed a very economical little inn. So the concept here is compact rooms, right? For staying, for those looking to save money. There are some room options with private bathrooms and others with shared bathrooms. These are even cheaper, right? So the links for you to check prices and see more information are in the QR code, in the video description, and in the first comment. And on the blog, there are more accommodation options here in all areas of Ponta Negra, see? So if we come here, for example, on Salsa Street, we have more options here, like little inns and hostels, right? And this applies to all other parts here in Natal. Now we are going to move to Via Costera, which is the road, the beach, the area that hosts the largest hotels and resorts in Natal. So it is right after Ponta Negra. So let me position it here roughly. So Via Costera starts here at the border with Ponta Negra and goes up to near the beaches of the central region. So it's a road with about 10 kilometers in length and has around 10 resorts here, hotels or resorts, larger accommodations, right? A larger infrastructure for leisure and gastronomy, but it's an area, that has nothing besides the hotels and resorts, okay? The hotels and resorts are spaced apart from each other, right? And so there's nothing you can do on foot outside of them, okay? To get around, you will have to use a car, okay? And the idea here is for you to choose a resort, right? Where you spend most of your time inside them. Because these are resorts with extensive leisure and gastronomy infrastructure, with several options here, like all-inclusive or full board and half board, which already include lunch and dinner, depending on the accommodation policy you choose. The beach here, it hasn't been widened, okay? It was widened up to about the height of Sears, more or less. So only the beginning of the Via Costera received the sand widening. And here it remains the same beach as before. But it's a beach with strong waves, okay? So most guests end up not enjoying the beach much, only more during low tide, okay? Moreover, most guests then spend most of their time enjoying the leisure facilities, the hotel pools. And the 3 most famous hotels here in this area, so let me see if I can locate them here. Look, they are, the Ocean Palace, which is here, the Sears, and the Ishi, okay? So the 2 largest here, the Ocean Palace and the Sears, which have extensive infrastructure and about 10 bars and restaurants each, and a very large leisure infrastructure. Yes, these 3, the Ocean Palace operates on an all-inclusive system. Oh, okay, drinks and meals included. At the Sears and the Ishi, you can choose the all-inclusive plan, full board, which includes breakfast, lunch, and dinner, or half board, which includes breakfast and dinner. Perhaps also just breakfast at some of them, okay? So, you can choose the type of board plan. I marked here the number 10, right? The accommodation number 10, which is the Ocean Palace. But if you want to see more information about the Sears and the Ishi, take a look at the blog article. There, I detail all the hotels and resorts here on the Via Costera. So let's take a look at the Ocean Palace, which for me is perhaps one of the best options here on the Via Costera. Look, it is 5 stars. It's a premium all-inclusive, right? So with slightly better drinks and food, that's the concept. Rating 8.9, a good rating on booking. So look, a very spacious hotel. See, the hotel is here. So the strip of sand here, this photo is after the sand strip was widened. So it's a hotel with a very extensive infrastructure here of pools. It has several heated pools, okay? And it has about 10 bars and restaurants. It has a gym. The cool thing here is that it has a large children's play area in the pool, okay? It's one of the only ones on the Via Costera that has this. So for those going with children, it's interesting. So it has a beach tennis court, it has tree climbing, it has a play kids here, a very spacious kids area. So it's a hotel here with a wide gastronomic and leisure infrastructure and all-inclusive. So the links for you to check the prices are in the video description, in the Ikiki first comment, and in the QR code. And we're going to move on to accommodation 11, which is also an all-inclusive hotel option, but more economical, okay? Which is the El Aran Y Mira Beach Resort, 4 stars, rated 8.4 on booking. A slightly lower rating, right, than the Ocean Palace. So it is also all-inclusive. Look, 24 hours all-inclusive. It has, look, a large area here. facing the sea. It also has a large children's play area. So it has a restaurant and a pizzeria, okay? Look, the large play area here for the kids. It also has a bar. There's a kids' space here as well. Look at the area it is in. And look, on the Via Costera, the hotels have a hill, right, that you need to go down to reach the beach. The beach has stronger waves, so most people end up staying in the pools, okay? So El Haran and Mira offer an all-inclusive option with slightly more affordable prices, okay, compared to Ocean Palace, Wish, and Sears. So to see more then, the hotels and inns on Via Costera, take a look here at the article on the blog, where we have a more complete list, right? Describing all the hotels. There are about 10 hotels here on Via Costera. And now we are going to the central beaches here in Natal. So this is the region closest to the city center, right of the city that's here. And the beaches are roughly at this point here, which are Praia da Areia Preta, dos Artistas, and Dumeo, okay? So let me zoom in here. This area here was the old tourist center of Natal several decades ago. So the tourist infrastructure of Natal started here, but currently it's an older, more degraded area, okay? The hotels and inns here are quite simple, so it was more economical for you to stay in Natal. You will be around 10 to 15 kilometers away from Ponta Negra, okay? And here, let me show you roughly what is in this area. Look, there's the Praia da Areia Preta, which is located here, at this point. Here, at the border of Areia Preta with Praia dos Artistas, there's a food park, which is the food park Vila do Mar, also with food trucks, but much smaller than those in Ponta Negra, okay? Here is Praia dos Artistas, roughly. In this section, here, look. And here is the Casa do Matuto, which is a typical restaurant, quite famous here in Natal. Here is the handicraft center of Praia dos Artistas. And here is the tourism center in the old detention house, which is also a handicraft center, okay? And the busiest beach here for swimmers is Praia do Maio, which is at this point here. There are several stalls here to serve the swimmers. The lodging is located more or less at the border here between Praia dos Artistas and Praia do Maio. And it's a more economical hotel then. It's the Yake Beach Hotel Natal, a 3-star hotel rated 8.4 on Booking. So it's a very economical hotel compared to those in Ponta Negra, okay? It has a pool here facing the sea. But it has another pool here, more towards the back of the hotel, which even has an area for children. But it's a hotel without much leisure infrastructure, okay? And also, a simpler option then, right, for those looking for value for money. Is that okay? On the blog then, there's a larger list, right, of accommodations here, in these 3 beaches here, Areia Preta, Artistas, and Maio. So if you want to take a look there. And to finish, we're going to come here around the Arena das Dunas, which is located in the more urban part of Natal, okay? The Arena das Dunas is the stadium that was built for the 2014 World Cup. Various events are held here. So a more urban part here, okay? Recommended more for those who have some commitment in this area. Commitment for work or study or some event, okay? Around here are some of the largest shopping malls in Natal. Look. So the Arena das Dunas and the Três accommodation are located here. So the Midway Mall is located here. The Natal shopping is located here. These are 2 of the largest shopping malls in Natal. The Natal bus station is located here. So if you are arriving by bus, right, you will be more integrated into this area. And the Três accommodation then is right in front of, the Arena das Dunas, okay? So here you will be further away from the more touristy area and will need to travel to get there, okay? So the Três accommodation is the Ibis Natal. So an economical hotel, 3 stars, with an 8.5 rating on Booking. So it's a standard hotel of the Ibis chain, okay? So it's located in this more modern part of Natal. And look, it is right in front of the Arena das Dunas, okay? There's even a walkway here to make access easier. In case you attend an event at the arena, it's very convenient for you. So on the blog, there's also a larger list of hotels and inns in the region of the Arena das Dunas. So this was the video on where to stay in Natal. I hope you liked it. So the links to the hotels and inns are in the video description, in the first comment, and also in the QR codes on the screen. And on the blog, we have a more complete list for each of the main areas to stay in Natal. A hug, and see you in the next video.